At some point, you stop wondering whether supplements actually work and start wondering whether there's just something wrong with you. Look, you've spent real money on this. You've tried the good brands, you've changed your doses, you've done different combinations, and you've done the research. Yet, you still feel like shit. Look, and I want to say this outright, nothing is wrong with you. It's just that nobody ever looked at the right variable. And trust me, because I spent 6 years of my life in that exact hellscape. Not 6 years of being lazy about it, 6 years of actually doing the work and still somehow feeling worse. The answer wasn't a better supplement protocol or a better practitioner. The answer was nobody had actually looked at the exact variable that was controlling all of it. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what that variable is, why the supplement industry at large has no incentive to tell you about it, and what a system built around it actually looks like. Here's what I want you to think about. You've gone past the basics. You're not sitting here taking a drugstore multivitamin and wondering why nothing's working for you. You've done the research. You understand the difference between folic acid and methylfolate. You know what NAC does. You're doing all of the things that make sense on paper, and yet you're still hitting a ceiling that you can't account for. What makes this so frustrating is that you can't point to exactly where you're going wrong. Truth is, you're not doing anything wrong. Protocol looks right, compounds look right, and yet, here you are. The gap between doing everything right and still not moving is not a discipline problem. It's not a health problem. It's a data problem. And the problem is that your protocol was built for somebody else's biology. Now, I worked with a client who was that exact person. Not a beginner by any stretch of the imagination. She had actually gone and done the research. She was taking things that you'd find from any good stack. NAC, methylated B complex, fish oil, magnesium glycinate before night, and yet she was still feeling like shit. And look, she understood the system. She was executing everything properly, yet she was still getting worse. When we looked at her genetics, it turns out that it had nothing to do with methylation all along. She carried a homozygous variant on NFE2L2, both copies. That meant that phase 2 detoxification was substantially impaired. She was loading the front end correctly, but the back door was barely open. What that meant is that compounds were accumulating instead of clearing. Her bottleneck wasn't absorption, it was clearance. A variable that clearly nobody had looked at because nobody had actually looked at her genetics. Once the protocol reflected the changes that we made, she started moving in the right direction for the first time in a very long time. She wasn't doing anything wrong. She was just missing one piece of information that drastically changed the whole system. Here's what's actually happening under the surface. Your body just doesn't absorb a compound and use it. It runs it through a conversion process first. Enzymes do the work. Enzymes are built by genes, and genes vary. That's why the same supplement that works for your friend does absolutely nothing for you. Your friend's conversion process is working properly, and yours isn't. That's not a failure, that's a variant. And until you know which variants you're carrying, every protocol that you build is just a guess. Project Rebuilt system was built around that exact fact. It starts with a 35 gene panel that covers exactly how your body converts, clears, and processes compounds. Methylation, detoxification, antioxidant response, nutrient absorption, and more. These pathways determine what your body can actually use and in which form. That data feeds a personalized protocol, not a generic supplement stack, a phased, priority protocol built around your specific variant. The compounds your body can actually convert, the ones it can't, and a sequence that makes sense for your exact bottlenecks. The field manual gives you the full context behind what the system is doing and why. That way you're not just blindly following some protocol, you actually understand it. Genetic data, personalized protocol, field manual, all built around your specific biology. Now, some of you are already thinking about the 23andMe report that you have sitting on your phone. That data is not this data. You see, 23andMe is built around population-level disease risk research. The question it answers is what diseases you are at most risk for. question this system answers is what compounds your conversion enzymes can actually process and what a smart protocol actually looks like for your exact genetic profile. Different questions, different markers, completely different output. The other thing I hear a lot is that I already take methylated vitamins, I already have the genetics angle covered. If you carry any of the MTHFR variants, then you're doing the right job. However, MTHFR is one gene, and our panel tests 35. The client I just had described already had methylation covered. It wasn't one of her bottlenecks. What was driving everything was detoxification genes that were downstream nobody had ever checked for. And look, taking methylated forms is smart. It's just not the whole picture. And then there's the price, which I'll say directly. The whole entire system is $495. And look, I've had clients who have spent more than that in the last year on supplements that were not built for their own biology. And the big difference there is that one of those is a repeating cost that continues to add and add and add and add. And the other one is a fixed cost. Once you get your results back, you build from there because nothing is ever going to change. The people who stay stuck the longest are almost never the ones who did not try hard enough. They actually tried harder and harder, but just using the wrong information. Different compounds, bigger doses, better brands, and they're still stuck. And the loop continues because nobody addressed the variable that accounts for all of that. Without knowing which pathways in your biology are actually impaired, every protocol you build after that is just a guess. Maybe a more educated guess, but a guess nonetheless. The link below takes you to the full system page. That way, you can see what the test actually covers, how easy it is to take, how the protocol is built, and how everything gets tied together. And if it's a right fit, you'll know.